The sun was bright over the city of Olaris. It was a very pretty place. The buildings were made of white stone and glass. They shined under the blue sky. The streets were clean and quiet. The Alari people were tall and thin. They had skin the color of soft sand. They liked peace. They liked art and music. They did not like fighting. They did not like loud noises. But today, the city was not quiet. Elder Vex stood on the high landing platform. He was the leader of the Alari Council. He held a beautiful bouquet of glowing blue flowers in his shaking hands. He was very nervous. Beside him stood a young guard named Kale. Kale held a spear, but his hands were sweating. "Do you think they will come?" Kale asked quietly. He looked up at the sky. "They sent a message," Vex said. "They said they are coming. We must trust them." Vex hoped the humans were kind. The Alari were in danger. A bad group of aliens called the Krell was coming. The Krell were big reptiles. They had green scales and sharp teeth. They liked to burn cities and take resources. The Alari could not fight them. The Alari had no big guns. They had no army. So, Vex sent a message to the humans. Humans were famous in this part of space. People said humans were crazy. People said humans fought things that should not be fought. Vex asked for help. He asked for a small group of soldiers to stand guard. He asked for a shield or maybe a diplomat to talk to the Krell. Suddenly, the sky turned dark. It was not a cloud. It was a shadow. A loud noise filled the air. It sounded like the sky was tearing apart. Boom. 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 The ground shook. The beautiful white buildings rattled. "What is that?" Kale screamed. He dropped his spear. Vex looked up. His mouth opened wide. "It is them," he whispered. Big, metal ships came out of the clouds. They were not sleek and shiny like Alari ships. They were blocky and gray. They looked like giant bricks made of steel. Smoke came out of the back of the ships. Fire blew from their engines. They were loud. They were ugly. And there were so many of them. "They are too big." Kale cried. "Elder, they will crush the city." The ships did not land gently. They came down fast. They hit the ground with a heavy crash. Dust and dirt flew everywhere. The wind knocked over the flower pots on the platform. Vex covered his face. He coughed in the thick dust. The peaceful city of Olaris looked like it was under attack. When the dust settled, Vex looked up. The biggest ship sat in the middle of the plaza. It had crushed the carefully arranged garden. A big door on the side of the ship opened. A ramp went down. It hit the ground with a loud clang. Steam came out of the ship. Then, Vex heard footsteps. Clank. 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 The sound was heavy. It was the sound of metal boots on metal. Two figures walked out of the ship. The first one was a man. He was shorter than the Alari, but he was very wide. He wore a suit of green armor. It looked thick and heavy. He had a black helmet on his head. He could not see the man's face, only a dark visor. He carried a large weapon in his hands. It looked dangerous. This was General Tom. Behind him walked another man. He was taller. He wore a different armor, colored black and gray. He had a scar on his face. His eyes were blue and cold. He looked around the city like a hunter looking for prey. This was Captain Roy. General Tom stopped at the end of the ramp. He did not look at the flowers. He did not look at the beautiful view. He looked at the streets. He looked at the high walls. He pressed a button on his helmet, and his face cover moved up. Vex took a deep breath. He walked forward. He tried to smile. He held out the glowing flowers. "Welcome to Olaris," Vex said. His voice was shaking. "I am Elder Vex. Thank you for coming. We are honored." General Tom looked at the flowers. He looked at Vex. He did not take the flowers. "I am General Tom," the human said. His voice was deep. It sounded like stones grinding together. "This is Captain Roy." "Yes," Vex said. He waited. He expected them to say something nice. "We have prepared rooms for you. We have food. We asked for a small protection detail. Maybe 5 or 6 soldiers to help our guards." Captain Roy laughed. It was a short, sharp laugh. "Protection," Tom said. He looked at Captain Roy. "That is what the message said." "We just want to be safe," Vex said quickly. "The Krell are scary. We just need someone to tell them to go away." Tom stepped closer to Vex. The human looked up at the tall alien. "You asked the United Earth Defense Force for protection. You asked for the best. We do not do small jobs, Elder. If we come to win." Tom turned around and raised his hand. He made a signal. Suddenly, the back of the ship opened up. Big ramps lowered. The noise of engines roared again. Out of the ship came machines. They were tanks. They had metal tracks and big guns. Soldiers followed them. They wore helmets and carried heavy rifles. They ran in lines. They moved fast. They did not look like tourists. They looked like a war machine. Vex stepped back in shock. No, he said. "This is too much. My people will be scared. This is a city of peace." Captain Roy walked up to Vex. He smiled, but it was not a warm smile. "Peace is a luxury, Elder. You can only have peace if you are strong enough to keep it. We are your strength now. Look at this," Vex said, pointing to the tanks crushing the white stones. "You are ruining our plaza." General Tom walked over. He looked at the damage. "Good," Tom said. "Now we can build a bunker here." "A bunker?" Vex asked. He did not understand. "Why?" "Because the Krell are coming," Tom said. He looked at the sky. "And when they see us, they will not send flowers. They will send bombs." Tom turned to his soldiers. He shouted orders. "Captain Roy, take the 2nd platoon to the North Ridge. Set up the perimeter. Sergeant David, get the engineers. I want barricades up in 10 minutes. Move." The soldiers moved instantly. They did not question him. They ran. They shouted back. "Yes, sir." Moving out. Vex stood there, holding his blue flowers. He felt helpless. He watched the humans dig holes in his precious park. They pulled up trees to make space for their big trucks. They put up tall metal fences. They carried boxes of heavy metal rounds. A human soldier named David ran past Vex. He was very sweaty. He carried a heavy machine gun. He stopped for a second to catch his breath. He looked at Vex. "Don't worry, tall guy," David said with a grin. "We are the good guys." "Sort of." Then he ran off to join his unit. The sun began to go down. Usually, the city was lit by soft lights. But tonight, the city was lit by the harsh headlights of human trucks. The air smelled like diesel and oil. The sound of hammers hitting metal filled the night. General Tom stood on the platform. He looked at the map on his wrist computer. He did not look sorry for the mess. He looked focused. "We need more ammo," Tom said to Roy. "Tell the supply ship to hurry up." "We have plenty for now," Roy said. "The men are ready. They want to fight." Elder Vex walked away from the platform. He walked back to the council building. He looked at the humans. They were so different. They were loud. They were rough. They were scary. But as Vex looked at the dark forest outside the city, he did not feel fear of the dark. He looked at the human soldiers with their guns. He looked at the tanks. For the first time in years, Vex did not think about the Krell eating them in their sleep. The next morning, the sun rose over the city of Olaris, but the light did not make the city look the same. The quiet was gone. The clean white streets were covered in brown dust. The air smelled like smoke and oil. The sound of heavy machines woke up the Alari people. It was a loud grinding noise. Dr. Lisa walked through the main plaza. She was not a soldier. She did not carry a big gun. She wore a yellow vest and heavy boots. She held a small computer in her hand. She looked at the beautiful buildings of the Alari with a cold face. She did not see art. She saw weak spots. Lisa stopped in front of a tall, glass tower. It was the great archive of the Alari. It held thousands of years of history. It had beautiful statues and thin, tall walls. To the Alari, it was the most important building in the city. Lisa tapped on her computer. She shook her head. "This is no good," she said. A tall Alari woman ran up to her. Her name was Sira. She was a historian. She took care of the archives. She looked very upset. "Why are you looking at the archives like that?" Sira asked. "Please tell your machines to stay away." Lisa looked at Sira. "The Krell have long-range plasma cannons," Lisa said. "This building is made of glass and thin stone. One shot, and it falls down. It is right in the center of the city. It is a big target. We have to fix it." Sira's eyes went wide. "Fix it? It is a perfect building. It is history." "It is a hazard," Lisa said. She turned around and shouted, "Mark! Over here!" A big human man walked over. He wore armor and carried a heavy tool on his shoulder. This was Mark. He looked at the tower. "What do you need, Doc?" "We need to clear this line of sight," Lisa said, pointing at the tower. "Knock down the top part. It blocks the guns. And we need the space for a bunker. Start on the left side." Mark nodded. "You got it?" Sira gasped. She jumped in front of Mark. "No. You cannot. That is the Hall of Ancestors. You cannot just break it." Mark stopped. He looked at Lisa. Lisa walked up to Sira. She was not angry, but she was very serious. "Ma'am," Lisa said. "The Krell are coming. They do not care about your ancestors. They will shoot this tower, and the glass will kill your people in the streets below. We are here to stop that. To stop that, I need to turn this pretty building into a strong position. But it is our culture." Sira cried. Tears came to her eyes. "If you destroy it, we lose who we are. If the Krell win, you will be dead," Lisa said softly. "Then there is no culture. There is nothing. We are saving your life." That is more important than a building. Lisa pushed past Sarah gently. Mark, do it. Mark turned on his tool. It buzzed loudly. He walked to the wall. He hit the stone. Crack. Dust flew. The sound was terrible. Sarah fell to her knees and covered her ears. She cried as the human broke the beautiful wall. For the next 3 days, the humans worked without stopping. They were like ants, but they were made of steel. They did not rest. They did not sleep much. They only worked. Lisa was everywhere. She told the soldiers where to dig. She told them where to put the thick metal plates. She did not care about the parks or the gardens. She looked at the map and she turned the city into a fortress. They dug deep holes in the flower beds. They put big metal containers in the holes. Then they covered them with dirt and sandbags. These were bunkers for the civilians. What are those ugly gray boxes? An Ilari citizen asked. He pointed to the walls of the city. Those are reactive armor plates, Lisa said. She was eating a sandwich while she watched the work. They stop explosions. Without them, a stray missile could take out a whole city block. But they are so ugly, the citizen said. They ruin the view of the mountains. Better to have an ugly view than no eyes to see it, Lisa said. She wiped her mouth and walked away. Captain Roy came by to check on them. He looked at the changes. The city of Olaris looked like a scar on the landscape now. The streets were blocked by barriers made of jagged metal. The windows of the buildings were covered with thick wire mesh. The beautiful statues were wrapped in chains to pull them down or protect them. General Tom wants the perimeter ready by tonight, Roy said to Lisa. It will be ready, Lisa said. I am using the alien's own stone. It is good quality, once you take off the fancy carvings. Roy laughed. The aliens are not happy. They are alive, Lisa said. They will be happy later. When the bombing starts, they will run to my ugly bunkers and they will thank me. Sarah watched them from across the street. She saw the humans working together. They moved heavy things that 10 Ilari could not lift. They shouted and laughed sometimes. They seemed to enjoy the work. It was strange to her. They were destroying her city to save it. She walked over to Mark. He was welding a thick metal door onto a house. Sparks flew everywhere. Does this make you happy? Sarah asked him. Mark stopped welding. He lifted his mask. His face was dirty with black grease. Happy? No, I am tired. I want a shower. Then why do you do it? Sarah asked. You do not live here. This is not your home. Mark looked at the door he was building. He tapped it with his fist. It made a solid sound. I have a sister back home, Mark said. She lives in a small town. If aliens came to burn her house, I would want someone to stop them. Even if they had to break a window or two. He looked at Sarah. We are humans. We fight. It is what we do. You asked for protection. This is what protection looks like. It looks like hard work and ugly metal. Sarah touched the metal door. It was cold and rough. But it felt very strong. By the time the sun went down on the third day, the city was changed. The North Ridge, where the city was open to the forest, was now a wall of guns and concrete. The beautiful temple where Sarah worked was still standing, but the top floor was gone. In its place was a radar dish and a machine gun nest. Dr. Lisa stood on a balcony. She looked at her creation. It was not pretty. It was a monster made of steel and dirt. But it was safe. The Krell would have a very hard time getting in now. She looked at the stars coming out in the sky. She knew the enemy was out there. She could feel it. She hoped her walls were strong enough. She hoped her calculations were right. She looked at the tired human soldiers sleeping on the ground, their guns next to them. And she looked at the scared Ilari families peeking out of their bunkers. Rest now, Lisa whispered to the city. Tomorrow, the work might get louder. She typed a message into her computer, Phase 1 complete. Fortifications up. We are ready for them. The warning siren screamed across the city of Olaris. It was a sound that the Ilari had never heard before. It was loud, sharp, and terrifying. In the past, the bells rang for festivals or for rain. Today, they rang for death. Elder Vex stood in the command center. The room was underground, beneath the heavy concrete that Dr. Lisa had ordered. Many Ilari were there, looking at the big screens on the wall. Their faces were pale with fear. They held each other's hands. On the screen, the sky was full of black dots. The dots were getting bigger. They are here, Vex whispered. The Krell. Outside, the sky turned dark. It was not nighttime. The Krell ships were blocking the sun. There were hundreds of them. They looked like big, ugly beetles. They were made of dark metal and they had green lights that glowed like eyes. The ships sat in the sky, huge and silent. They did not move yet. They just waited, like a predator watching a rabbit. The Ilari soldiers on the walls were shaking. They looked up at the enemy ships with their small laser rifles. They knew their guns could not hurt the big metal ships in the sky. They felt small. They felt hopeless. They will fire soon, an Ilari captain said. We should run to the bunkers. General Tom stood in the middle of the room. He was calm. He looked at the screen. He did not shake. He took a sip of water from his metal cup. He looked at the Krell fleet like he was looking at a bug on his shoe. Captain Roy, Tom said. Is the grid ready? Captain Roy typed on his keyboard. Yes, sir. All systems are green. The Ark Royal is in position. Good, Tom said. They are early. That is rude. Rude, Vex asked, looking at Tom. General, they are going to destroy us. You must call your ships to retreat. Tom looked at Vex. Retreat, we just got here. Tom walked to the communication panel. He pressed a button. Command to fleet. You are clear to engage. Happy hunting. High above the clouds, where the air was thin and cold, space suddenly warped. It looked like heat rising from a hot road. Then, with a flash of light, a massive ship appeared. It was a human battleship. It was huge, much bigger than the Krell ships. It was gray and blocky. It had guns all over it. This was the Ark Royal. The Krell ships did not know it was there. They were looking at the city. Captain Ben sat in the pilot seat of his bomber. He was a good pilot. He had a picture of his dog taped to the dashboard. He wore a helmet that was scratched from many battles. Wow, would you look at that, Ben said into his radio. They are just sitting there. Do they not know how to use radar? Pay attention, Ben, his wingman, Steve, said. We have a job to do. I know, Ben said. He flipped some switches on his control panel. Missiles armed. Bombs ready. Let's go say hello. Ben pushed the throttle. His bomber jumped forward. Behind him, dozens of other human bombers followed. They looked like angry bees swarming out of a hive. They flew straight down toward the Krell fleet. On the ground, the Alari looked up. They saw the human ships appear. They saw the small bombers dive. They are going to crash. Vex cried out. There are too many enemies. But the humans did not crash. They attacked. Fox 3, Ben said calmly. He pressed a red button. A missile shot off the wing of his bomber. It flew fast and straight. It hit the nearest Krell ship. Boom. There was a bright orange explosion in the sky. Pieces of the alien ship flew off. Fire started to burn on the hull. Then the sky filled with fire. The human bombers were everywhere. They were fast. They moved in crazy patterns, twisting and turning so the Krell guns could not hit them. The Krell tried to fight back. They shot green laser beams, but the humans were too fast. Target the big one in the center, Ben's radio crackled. It was the leader of the human fleet. I see it, Ben said. He saw the largest Krell ship. It was the flagship. Steve, cover me. I am going in. On your tail, Ben, Steve replied. Ben flew his bomber straight at the big ship. The Krell shot at him. The laser beams missed his ship by inches. Ben did not move. He was focused. Open the bomb bay, Ben said to himself. The bottom of his bomber opened. He dropped 2 big metal bombs. The bombs fell silently for a second. Then, they hit the side of the Krell flagship. Kaboom! The explosion was huge. It ripped a giant hole in the alien ship. Fire and gas poured out. The ship started to tilt. It spun slowly in the air. Direct hit. Ben shouted. Yes. That is for my dog. The Alari in the command center watched with their mouths open. They could not believe their eyes. The unbeatable Krell fleet was burning. The humans were not afraid. The humans were winning. But they were also very loud. Take that, you lizards. Steve shouted over the radio. Watch your 6, Steve. Ben yelled. You have a bogey on your left. The Krell were confused. They expected the humans to hide. They did not expect the humans to charge. The human pilots laughed and joked while they fought. To the humans, this was not a tragedy. It was just another Tuesday. General Tom watched the screen with a small smile. They are doing well, he said. The Krell are breaking formation, Captain Roy said. They are pulling back. Don't let them go, Tom said. Push them. Make them afraid. Captain Ben and the other bombers chased the Krell ships. They fired missiles until the enemy ships turned and ran away from the planet. The sky was full of smoke and fire, but the city of Olaris was safe. The Ark Royal stayed in the sky like a dark guard. Its guns pointed out, waiting for any enemy to come back. Vex sank into his chair. He was breathing hard. They ran away, he said. The humans made them run away. Yes, General Tom said. He put his cup down. But the space battle is just the first part. Now the real work begins. Tom looked at Roy. They will land. They are too proud to leave without a fight. Tell the ground teams to get ready. The party is coming to us. Vex looked at the general. He realized that the humans were not just soldiers. They were warriors. And the ground of Olaris was about to become a battlefield. The battle in the sky was loud, but the silence that followed was heavy. The Krell ships had run away, but the danger was not over. High above, the remaining Krell transport ships began to fall. They were smoking and burning. The human bombers had hurt them, and now they were crashing to the ground. "Here they come," Captain Roy said. He looked at his radar screen. Red dots were blinking fast. "We have multiple drop sites. Sector 4, Sector 7, and Sector 9. They are landing right in the city." General Tom stood up. He put his helmet back on. "Sound the alarm. Get the civilians to the deep bunkers. It is time to earn our pay." The siren wailed again. It was a different sound now. It was fast and urgent. The Alari people in the streets panicked. They looked up to see burning Krell ships falling out of the clouds like rocks. A Krell transport ship, huge and black, crashed into the park near the North Ridge. It slid across the grass, crushing trees and fences before hitting the side of Dr. Lisa's concrete wall. Dust and smoke exploded into the air. From the back of the crashed ship, a ramp opened with a hiss. Out came the Krell warriors. They were tall, 7 feet high. They had green scales and sharp claws. They held plasma rifles that glowed with hot green light. They screamed, a sound like a snake hissing and a lion roaring at the same time. The Alari soldiers waited behind their small barriers. They held their laser rifles. They were shaking. They had never seen a Krell up close. The monsters looked strong. They looked like killing machines. "Fire!" shouted the Alari captain. The Alari shot their lasers. Little red beams hit the Krell armor. The beams bounced off. They did nothing. The Krell laughed. They raised their guns and shot back. Green plasma exploded against the Alari barriers. The stone walls broke. Alari soldiers fell. The line broke instantly. "Run!" someone screamed. "We cannot stop them." The Alari dropped their guns and ran. They ran toward the city center. They were terrified. They thought they were going to die. But then, a new sound cut through the noise. Thump! 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 The ground shook. Out of the smoke, a human soldier stepped forward. It was Sergeant John. He was a man with a strong face and hard eyes. He did not run. He stood his ground. Behind him was Corporal David. David held a massive machine gun. "Get down, skinny guys!" John shouted to the running Alari. The Alari dropped to the floor. "Open fire!" John roared. Corporal David pulled the trigger. His machine gun made a loud ripping sound. Brrrrrrt. Bullets the size of bananas flew out. They hit the Krell line. These were not lasers. These were heavy kinetic slugs. They smashed through the Krell armor like paper. The Krell warriors did not laugh anymore. They fell one by one. Green blood splashed on the white stone. "Reload!" David yelled. He slammed a new box of ammo into his gun. "I hate lizards." John fired his rifle with perfect aim. Bang! Bang! Every shot killed a Krell. The humans did not shake. They moved together, covering each other. When John fired, David looked around. When David fired, John reloaded. More Krell came out of the crashed ship. There were hundreds of them. They charged at the humans. They thought they could win with numbers. "They are coming too fast." David shouted. "John, we need help. Hold the line." John screamed. "Do not let them pass." The Krell were getting close. 20 feet. 15 feet. 10 feet. John pulled out a big knife and prepared to fight hand to hand. Suddenly, the sky above them screamed. "Woohoo!" A voice shouted from above. It was Captain Ben. He was flying his bomber. He came in low, right over the buildings. His wings were smoking. He was crazy. He flew his big bomber just 50 feet above the ground. "Sorry I am late, boys," Ben yelled into his radio. "I had to refuel." Ben pressed a button. His bomber dropped a bomb right in the middle of the Krell charge. Kaboom! The explosion was massive. It lifted the Krell warriors into the air and threw them like toys. When the smoke cleared, the front of the Krell army was gone. There was just a big hole in the ground. Ben pulled his bomber up sharply. He flew between two tall towers and did a barrel roll. "That is for Sector 4. Ben laughed. "I am out of here. I need more ammo." Sergeant John looked at the crater. He looked at David. "Did you see that?" John asked. "I saw it," David said. "I think that pilot is crazy." "He is on our side," John said. "That is good enough." The humans pushed forward. They walked over the debris. They shot the few Krell that were still moving. The Alari soldiers slowly got up from the ground. They looked at the humans with wide eyes. They saw the green blood and the dead Krell. Then they looked at the humans. The humans were checking their guns and smoking cigarettes. They looked bored. We won," an Alari soldier whispered. Sergeant John looked at him. "We won this fight. But look over there." John pointed to another part of the city. More Krell ships were landing. The sky was full of them. The humans had won the first battle, but the war was just starting. "Grab your weapons," John told the Alari. "You run again, you die. You stay with us, you might live. Get back to the line." The Alari soldier nodded slowly. He picked up his laser rifle. He stood next to John. For the first time, he did not feel hopeless. He stood next to the giants from Earth. From her bunker, Dr. Lisa watched the screens. She saw the Krell breaking through in other places. She grabbed her radio. "Tom, they are breaching the west wall. The defenses there are weak." "I know," Tom's voice came back. "Send in the engineers. We have to plug the hole." Lisa grabbed her heavy tool. It doubled as a weapon. "I am going out there," she told her team. "Come on. The general needs us." The battle for Olaris was raging in every street. The humans fought with a mix of anger and skill. They were outnumbered, but they were better. The Krell were used to enemies who ran away. They did not know how to fight enemies who smiled while they killed you. Sira, the historian, watched from a window high up. She saw the fighting. She saw the blood. It was terrible. But she saw Sergeant John standing in the street, blocking the way to the hospital. She saw Dr. Lisa running to fix a broken tank under fire. "They are fighting for us," Sira whispered. "They are actually fighting for us." The city was burning in places. The beautiful white walls were black with smoke. But the Alari were alive. The humans were holding the line. The Krell had found something they did not expect on this peaceful world. They had found the monsters from Earth. And the humans were very angry. The sun began to rise over the city of Olaris, but the light was not clear. Thick gray smoke covered the sky like a blanket. The smell of burnt metal and ozone hung in the air. The streets were quiet now. The loud sounds of guns and explosions were gone. The battle was over. In the main plaza, the fighting had been heavy. The white stone was black. Debris was everywhere. Broken Krell weapons and empty human shell casings covered the ground. The bodies of the reptilian Krell lay in piles near the crashed dropship. General Tom walked slowly through the plaza. His armor was scratched and covered in dust. He had a small cut on his forehead, but he did not seem to notice. He stepped over a broken piece of metal and looked at the city. It was a mess. The beautiful city looked like a war zone. Captain Roy walked up behind him. He looked tired. He held a cup of hot coffee in a plastic cup. "It is done, General," Roy said. "The last Krell unit surrendered an hour ago. The ones that are left are running back to their ships." Tom nodded. "Casualties?" "We lost 12 men," Roy said quietly. 30 wounded. The aliens lost thousands." Tom took a deep breath. 12. That is 12 too many. But they fought well. He looked around. "And the Alari?" "They are hiding in the bunkers," Roy said. "They are scared to come out." From the side of the plaza, a door opened. Elder Vex came out. He walked slowly. He looked at the destruction. He saw the crushed flowers and the broken statues. His face looked sad. But then he looked at General Tom. He saw that the human was alive. He saw that the city was still standing. Vex walked up to Tom. "Is it over?" Vex asked. His voice was hoarse. "It is over," Tom said. "The Krell are gone. They will not come back soon. They learned a lesson today." Vex looked at the scars on the buildings. "You saved us," Vex said. "But you destroyed our home to do it." Tom looked at the elder. "Your home is still here. You are still here. The walls can be fixed. The buildings can be rebuilt. But we cannot bring dead people back to life." Dr. Lisa walked over. She had a bandage on her arm. She looked at the wreckage of her bunkers. "The bunkers held," she said. "Not a single civilian died inside them. That was the job." Syrah, the historian, came out of the crowd. She walked up to Sergeant John. The big soldier was cleaning his big gun. He looked tired but happy. "You saved the library," Syrah said to him. "The Krell tried to burn it, but you stopped them." John looked at her. He scratched his head. "Yeah. Well. It was a good spot for a machine gun. Good view." Syrah smiled. It was a small smile. "Thank you, Sergeant." "You are welcome, ma'am," John said. He put his gun on his shoulder. It was a good fight. Captain Ben landed his bomber in the park, or what was left of it. The bomber was missing a wingtip and it had smoke coming from the engine. Ben climbed out of the cockpit. He stretched his arms high above his head. "I need a burger," Ben yelled to no one in particular. "And a bed. I am done flying for a week." Corporal David threw a helmet at him. "Good landing, idiot. You missed the trees." "Trees move," Ben laughed. "I am a pro." General Tom gathered his team. He looked at his soldiers, engineers, and pilots. They looked rough. They were dirty and bloody, but they were standing tall. They were not scared. They were ready for the next job. Tom turned to Elder Vex. "We did what you asked," Tom said. "We gave you protection." Vex nodded. "Yes. You did." Tom handed Vex a small computer pad. "This is the bill." "The bill?" Vex asked, confused. "We are a professional army, Elder," Tom said. "We do not work for free. We need payment for the ammunition, the fuel, the food, and the risk. And we need a place to stay. Vex looked at the pad. The number was high, but not too high. And the place to stay. We keep the base here, Tom said. We do not leave. You saw what is out there. You need us. If we leave, the Krell will come back with more ships next time. We are staying to make sure that does not happen. Vex looked at the humans. He looked at their guns and their ships. He realized that his peaceful world had changed forever. They were no longer just innocent farmers and artists. They were now a planet under the protection of Earth. They were part of a dangerous galaxy. Agreed, Vex said. You can stay. We will pay. Tom shook Vex's hand. His grip was strong and rough. Smart choice. Captain Roy stepped up. Sir, the men are tired. When do we go home? Home. Tom looked at him. Roy, look around. We just conquered a planet without even trying. This is the new forward base. We are not going home. We are expanding the perimeter. The soldiers cheered. They liked this planet. It was quiet, except when they were fighting. Tom looked at the smoke clearing in the sky. The sun was finally breaking through. The city of Olaris was damaged, but it was standing. The Krell were gone. The humans were here to stay. Vex watched them. He saw the way they stood. They were dangerous, yes. They were loud and rough. They broke his beautiful statues and dug holes in his parks. But as he looked at the smiling faces of the Alari children coming out of the bunkers, he knew the truth. He asked for a shield. He asked for a diplomat. Instead, he got monsters. But they were his monsters now. And he felt safe. Pack it up, Tom shouted to his men. We have a lot of work to do. Lisa, I want those walls fixed by morning. John, get your men on patrol. Ben, fix your plane. Yes, sir. They shouted back. The humans went back to work. They did not stop to rest for long. They were the humans. They asked for a job, and they did it well. The Alari asked for protection, and they sent generals, engineers, and bombers. And the galaxy would never look at the planet Olaris the same way again. He looked at the blue flowers in his hand. They looked very small compared to the tanks. He put the flowers down on a table. He realized something. He asked for a shield, and they got a sword. A very sharp sword. Vex sat in his chair. He listened to the noise of the humans working. It was a terrible noise. It was a noise of war. But as he closed his eyes, he knew that if the Krell came tomorrow, the humans would be waiting. And the Krell would be very surprised. We asked for protection, Vex whispered to himself. And they sent generals.